take the glasses off. What's going on, guys? It's been a while since I uploaded a YouTube video. Naturally, this just means that I got tired of uploading. And whenever that happens, it's not necessarily that I get tired of uploading. It's that, like, priorities, right? This video is not about priorities, although I should make a video about that. So expect one in the future because that idea just came up organically. But just briefly touching on priorities, my biggest priority is my business, the marketing agency that I'm running, which means anytime I feel like I'm doing a little too much, juggling a little too much, that is always going to move all the way to the top in terms of things that I'm spending time doing. And then other stuff will start to fall to the wayside, however it is that I see fit. And recently I just stopped posting on Instagram and YouTube for a while. That's what felt right in the moment. But now I feel like coming back. I actually got a few signs that I should come back to doing this. So I'm excited about it. So what are we going to talk about in this video, guys? I'm going to be talking about the most important thing that you could possibly learn in life. This doesn't have to do with money, but if you learn it, you will make more. And the only reason I mentioned that is because if you're new, this is a business channel first and foremost. I talk a lot about like self-development, reality transurfing, all of this stuff, but it's all geared towards like business, career, like stuff like that. Like your purpose in life, whatever that may be, whether it be like you're trying to be the best music person. It's for people who are trying to be the best in their specific field. That is what this channel is for. So I'm going to tell you about the most important thing you could possibly learn in life that will help that area in your life, but it's honestly going to help everything. And that is learning how to become present to the moment. Now, if you don't know what being present to the moment is, I am going to describe it, but before I get into that, I want to say that I got to this from a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He also has a few other books, but that's the main one. That's like the main one that he's known for, and it's where you'll get all of the main information that you need in that book. But honestly, the book itself is going to give you a very large explanation of everything it is that you need to know, which is important, but it honestly can be simple. Everything in life can be brought down to the most simple, minute detail, and like everything can be broken down in one sentence, basically. So what exactly does it mean to be present to the moment? What is the power of now? What is this? So, to put it as simply as possible, what exists in life? What is the only thing that exists in life? From our perspective, at least. Let's not talk about like a spirit's perspective or God's perspective. Let's not go to that large scale. Let's bring it back down to human. We are human. What is the only thing that exists? Now. So, whenever, and every single time I talk about this, I become extremely present, which is amazing. But like that is literally the only thing that exists. So anytime you're not focusing on the present moment, you're going to be causing some sort of turmoil inside of you because you are focusing on something that does not exist. Literally. We make things up inside of our head, and then we judge it as real, and then we live in some fabricated story that we've created inside of our brains instead of focusing on this exact moment. Now, there's a few things that we can do in order to shock you back into the present moment so you can even know what this feels like. The first thing, and you're welcome to pause after you do this, but I plan on pausing too because I want to participate in the what do you even call it? The practices, not the practices, the exercises. There you go. They're basically presence exercises. Little things that you can do to snap yourself back to the present moment. First thing, think inside of your mind, I wonder what my next thought is going to be, and then just wait. wait for that thought to come up and see how long it takes for that thought to actually come up. Go ahead, pause this video, do that. It's very simple. But literally just, yeah, pause the video and go, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Naturally, when you do this, there's going to be a pretty long gap. And if you were feeling fine before this, it may not make a drastic impression on you. But I've done this with friends who I've been in my presence where they're like, hey, I'm sad about this thing. And then I have them do this. And then I asked them immediately after that, were you still sad about that thing in that moment while you were sitting there waiting to see what your next thought was going to be? And they're like, nah, I wasn't sad anymore. And it's not like, it doesn't feel like happiness either. It feels like presence. And the only other word that I've heard describe this feeling is bliss. So maybe that's what it is. Bliss, nothingness. The point is, the sadness is gone. And why is it gone in that moment? It's because you stopped labeling, not only labeling like yourself, this present moment. You stopped labeling the past. You stopped being anxious about the future. That's all that's going on. You're labeling the past. You're labeling yourself. You're creating mind movies about things that could potentially happen in the future that didn't actually happen yet, or scenarios that don't actually exist, and you're making up scenarios in your mind. Like you'll be sitting around, and the only reason I know this exists is because I do it still. So you'll be sitting there and you'll create scenarios in your mind that don't actually exist and may not ever even happen. Like, isn't that crazy? So scenarios that may not even happen, like basically that's what's going on. You're taking all focus away from the present moment. Now, the argument that could possibly come up is, but Miguel, there actually are things bad inside of this present moment. I don't know how I'm going to pay some bill. I live in a hostile household. I live in a third world country. I mean, like the list of excuses is going to be endless. I have a chemical imbalance inside of my brain. That is the biggest excuse, which I think is dumb. I mean, I guess it's possible. It's possible for your brain to be off balance because you're not eating healthy or doing anything. But even then, no, I think that's just a giant excuse. Like think about that. I want you to think about an excuse like my brain is off balance, like my hormones are off balance, or what's another one? I have OCD. Whenever excuses like that are brought up, the words, bro, the words, communication. The word is on the tip of my tongue, guys. So today's like the last day of Mercury retrograde. So communication, man. The word. All right, whatever. I lost the word, guys. But these excuses take all responsibility. I think that's the word I was looking for. They take all responsibility off your shoulders, and it makes it something that you can't control. Those are the two words I was thinking of. Responsibility is taken off of yourself, and it becomes something that you can't control. Or if there is control, it's something that someone else has to do, or something that's going to take a long time, so you can't be happy in this exact moment. Which, once again, future projecting. I can't be happy until. I can't be present until I take this medication. I eat this way. This thing happens. I make this much money. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares if you have a chemical imbalance? That shit's stupid. Stop using that as an excuse. That's so dumb. You're basically saying I have no chance at being happy. Sorry, my phone went off and I need to turn off that notification. Anyways. So if that's an excuse that's on the table, go ahead and take that off of the table. I don't care about it. And if this makes you whine about it, you really probably should finish watching this video. So Uh, take that excuse off of the table. So you now become empowered to actually take your mental health, your presence into your own hands, your own enlightenment into your own hands, and then start to focus on this present moment because it's all that ever exists and ever will exist. Now, time is fake. You realize that, right? You realize that like animals, like before humans, so say humans weren't on Earth, there would be no concept of time. You realize that, right? Like there would be no future, there would be no past because there's no one there to create it inside of their mind. You realize that, right? Like I'm getting chills and goosebumps just saying that. Time would not exist if there wasn't a person here to label something as past and future, which means time is made up. It's made up, guys. Like it doesn't exist. So every single time you think of the past and you regret something, you are regretting something that does not exist. You're creating the past inside of your mind because that's the only place it could possibly exist. It doesn't actually exist like in the quantum field of reality, in your reality. I mean, I guess in the quantum field it exists because it's a point within everything. But your personal like perspective in terms of reality. Uh, the past doesn't exist. 10 years ago did not exist. Oh, the only thing that exists is now. The only thing you ever get to experience is now. The only thing is now. Like now. This exact moment. And yeah, that's probably the most important thing. And the reason why this is super important, like aside from like happiness and like all these things, is that the second you do come to this realization and you start to embody it, your relationship to everything changes because now you're coming at it from a place of presence. When you remember, that's the caveat. When you remember, because excuse me. To be in a state of presence 24/7 would mean you become enlightened. And I've had conversations with, with friends about what enlightenment is and whether or not there are levels to enlightenment. Personally, I believe that if you are present 100% of the time, you have achieved enlightenment. Like, you've done it. Like, what else is there to do? What, you levitate? That's a thing. That's like I feel like that's more of like a skill. Maybe I could be wrong. What, you start digesting air, and what are some other enlightenment things? You can set yourself on fire and it don't hurt. I mean, like, sure, but for the sake of keeping things simple, let's just say that enlightenment is achieving 24/7 presence. You sit there like time no longer exists inside of your head. You never fall off the bandwagon. That's total enlightenment. No. Let's call that total enlightenment. I have not reached that either, guys. So when people come face to face with me, or someone's bringing up a problem or something, and then I point to them in this direction and I start talking about these things in this exact tone, these exact examples, this exact subject matter, normally to someone who's like not aware of any of this, which happens rarely because most of my friends have like elevated, but every now and then you'll get a person who just doesn't know and needs this knowledge. That's probably why they met you. A lot of times they assume that I'm extremely zen just because I'm talking about this kind of stuff in this exact moment. So they assume, he must be like that all the time. No. Like, no. The natural progression of something like this is like, it's something that you have to constantly remind yourself. And the only difference is I've made it a very good habit of catching myself very early on. And I know I'm shaking up empty bottle at you right now, but whatever. I've become capable of reminding, like, Basically, you want to get to a point like the goal. If you're not even if you're at a point where you don't even know about presence, and this video was the first time you've ever been present from that little exercise that we just did, then your entire job is to get yourself to a point where every single time something does come up, you get frustrated in traffic, someone talks about you a certain way, someone doesn't keep a promise, whatever it is. Your sole purpose is to get to a point where whenever those feelings do bubble up inside of you, instead of it being something that you dive further into when you allow it to escalate, maybe it feels even more intense, or maybe it lasts an extremely long time, whatever it is. Instead of that happening, what will happen is that will start to become a signal to yourself that you are not being present in this moment. That'd be useful, right? So like, instead of like something happening and you getting upset and then being like, damn, like I can't believe I'm mad. Instead, your response will be, originally you're just going to be mad about the thing. And then you'll get to a point where the second you get mad, you're like, crap, I fell out of presence. And then you'll meditate, you'll do that little trick I told you, you'll start focusing on the emptiness of the room, you'll start doing whatever it is. There's multiple things that you can do, things that you can focus on that bring you back to presence, but whatever it is, the point is the thing will come up and you'll bring yourself back to presence. And this is something that takes years to master. And it's not like presence takes years to feel, but in terms of being able to catch yourself, that's what it is. Because right now it's a habit. Like it's a habitual pattern inside of your brain and your body that reacts to certain stimulus that you're being presented with. So whenever something happens that makes you angry, like we're not like, so like something happens, it triggers a reaction inside of yourself that's automatic, 100% automatic. You did not create that thought. It is an automatic thing based on the people you've interacted with and seeing them respond to certain situations, based on all of your previous life experiences and seeing how certain reactions get certain things inside of your life, the conclusions that you come to, and then you start making the same emotional, physical reaction to certain situations over and over and over and over and over and over and over again throughout your life. Years and years pass with you having this exact same emotional, physical response to certain types of situations. So naturally, it becomes a habit, which means you need to make a new one. And old habits die hard. But the fact that you can just flip a switch and become present and become happy is very helpful skill. So that's basically all you have to do. Learn presence, get the power of now, and expect it to take a while. But instead of getting upset with yourself whenever you do fall out of presence, start getting excited every single time you catch yourself. Because every single time you catch yourself not being present, that means you are one step closer to being like a person that is present. Because like where are most people at? Most people are sleepwalking through life. Let's just go ahead and say that. Most people are sleepwalking through life. They have no idea of what being present is. Every single action and response is autonomous, meaning automatic. Things happen, they have an automatic response, they're not even sure why that happens. That's where most people are at. If you're at a point where you notice yourself responding to a certain way and you're like, damn, I'm not present right now, you're fine. If you can even recognize that, you were in a golden spot. Most people don't even recognize it. They assume people identify. That's what it is. It's identification with a thought and emotion. So that's where most people are at. They identify with the thought forms that pop up inside of their mind, and they assume that they are theirs, even though it's all like advertisements and parenting and friends and all sorts of things. So they assume that those thoughts are theirs, instead of the emptiness. In terms of why, like what that emptiness is, Eckhart Tolle calls it God, because like there's nothingness and then there's creation and then like blah, 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 blah. So whenever you focus on nothingness, for example, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. And then boom, it becomes empty. Or you breathe and then you feel like a stillness inside of yourself. If you just close your eyes and breathe and just like try to feel like the life inside of you. It almost feels like it's radiating, but like you can tell, like you feel your life force. That's you. Whenever you focus on that, boom, present. Whenever you focus on the silence in between words, so instead of focusing on the words that I'm saying, focus on the space in between the words, the silence. Why? Silence is emptiness. It's all the same thing that I'm having you like focus on. Silence is nothing. The emptiness, like the space in the room, not the stuff in the room, but the space in the room, the nothingness. Like a room doesn't exist without the space in it, right? So if you focus on that, what is that? Nothing. If you focus on your life presence, that is the nothing inside of you that keeps you moving. So yeah. This is the most important thing. If you can work in a present state, if you can talk to someone in a present state, if you can listen to someone in a present state, I would like to replace talk with listen. If you can be creative in a present state, if you can sit around and do nothing in a present state, if you can drive in a present state, life changes. Not only do you become happier, your relationship to things change, the world can be crumbling around you. Things can be falling apart. But in reality, if you're present and you recognize everything's falling apart and you sit there with a present mind, completely accepting everything it is that this moment has to offer, since it's all that ever exists, and to resist this moment would be to resist life itself. If you are completely accepting of every single thing that this moment has to offer, since it is the only thing that exists, life changes for you, for the better. This is also like where reality transurfing comes into play, because if you're present, you're accepting of this moment, and then because you're a person and you're like, okay, cool, I'm present, I'm accepting, I'm happy with everything, I have nothing else to do, so why not set a goal, stretch myself, become better, see what I'm capable of. One, your relationship to why you're even doing anything, any sort of work or creative activity completely changes. The why you're doing it completely changes. And from reality transurfing from a reality transurfing point, you excel much faster because you're accepting the moment and you're still getting shit done. So I go ahead and leave this video here. Honestly, this might be the best video I've ever made, the most important video I've ever made, I should say. Definitely get the power of now, start meditating, focus on the present moment. It's all that you'll ever have, all that you ever will have, all that ever will be. And to resist the present moment is to resist life. Keep that in mind. So go ahead and leave this here. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It'd be nice to have a significant amount of people here. A lot of my videos have been getting a lot more views recently. So I think YouTube is starting to show this channel love, which is great, because then more people come and then more people learn about presence. So share these videos, check out some of the other ones, all that stuff, man. Thanks for watching, and peace.